Welcome back to the Wizard Weekly, where we talk about everything in gaming. Crazy enough to say, one of the best ways to play PlayStation exclusives, or used to be exclusive games, is on PC. And if you're in that crowd of people that like to do that, like myself, we need to have a dialogue. As it was stated in the last PlayStation showcase, we're going to be getting a remastered version of the first Horizon title, Zero Dawn, coming to the 31st at basically the tail end of this month. And as we've already established, this is going to be one of PlayStation's upcoming PC releases alongside the PlayStation 5 counterpart. And this game, it came out back in 2017, right? But the complete version, which was the definitive way to play Horizon Zero Dawn on PC, came out in 2020. So, basically there was going to be two versions of this game, but as we, come to expect, Sony has delisted the original complete edition that came out in 2020, and it's no longer available to purchase on Steam, at least. Now, luckily, if you do own this game, you can still play it. Sony isn't pulling a live service fuckery that a lot of, these live service games like The Crew are trying to pull on you. But if you want to purchase this 2020 version, you can no longer do it on Steam, because it's just going to link you back to the remastered pre-order, which is coming out in 3 weeks now and at $50. Now that's standard stuff, that's cool, but that's not exactly what I wanted to talk about. Now, the reason I'm even talking about this game in particular, and all PlayStation games on PC, at least right now, is the fact that they have a serious problem with the PSN requirement. Now, I'm sure you probably heard echoes of this, or maybe if you know the whole story, but basically for the last year and a half, PlayStation has only been selling their PC versions of their PlayStation games on markets where PSN is available, obviously in an attempt to try and garner more PSN users, either as a way to brag that statistic, saying we have this many users, when Xbox is always saying we have this many new users coming to Xbox monthly for the Game Pass. So there's the bragging rights aspect of it, and obviously more money. It doesn't really take much to assume that. But many of their newer PC Steam releases, like God of War Ragnarok, obviously Zero Dawn Remastered, Until Dawn, all of these titles require you to be in a region where PlayStation Network is up and running. And you would think, as one of the most global known gaming companies, that PlayStation would be in pretty much every market where there is games being sold, but unfortunately there's more names on this list of the negatively impacted than likely what we're going to be seeing on the Diddy list when it gets leaked. All of these countries don't have an easy way to access PlayStation Network, and therefore you can't purchase these games like God of War, Horizon Zero Dawn Remastered, and Until Dawn in these regions. Now, you might remember earlier in the year, PlayStation faced a lot of backlash when they required all players, not just people in these regions, to have a PlayStation Network account on the PC version of Helldivers 2. And if you didn't sign up for a PSN account, you no longer had access to that $40 game that you bought with your own money, even if you didn't previously own a PlayStation console and had anything to do with Sony. You just like the game. And that shit hit the fans so hard that they almost immediately reversed that decision, and the devs even went as far as to make a in-game cape out of the newly found negative reviews on the Steam version of the game. Like, they made a whole cape out of this. Now, I'm not gonna lie, Sony, they're pieces of shit for what they're doing and what they did, but at least the people like Arrowhead have a good sense of humor, because that's funny as hell. But even still, after all this, you still can't play games like Helldivers 2 in all those countries that don't have PSN because of their newfound method of maximizing as many PlayStation, well, at least trying to get as many PlayStation users as possible. And that is just really terrible. PlayStation has been operating their PC library on Steam since 2019, 2018 was when Days Gone came out, I think. And the fact that they're just now, doing all this and excluding all of these 70 countries from being able to play these new games, 73 countries, given how greedy the company could be, I wouldn't, imagine a world where they'd be turning down more money. But, what do I know? I'm just a wizard talking to a camera. I need to reevaluate my life. So moving on, I want to briefly talk about Zelda Echoes of Wisdom, because I saw this article right before I started recording that you see on your screen right now, and I've been playing a lot of Echoes of Wisdom in my free time, and I thought I'd give my opinions on it based on the gameplay that I've been going through. This article basically gives some opinions on one of the worst aspects of Echoes of Wisdom, and that is the Echo menu, where you learn all of these different items and NPCs that you can use at your disposal in the game, but bringing them out, especially when you get towards like midpoint of the title, when there's like almost like 60 different things, or not even 60, like more like 40 or 50 different things that you can use at your disposal, and they only have like 3 categories, like most used, recently added, type, I forget the other one, but there's only like 4 or 5 different categories that are really broad, and it sucks when you're trying to find a specific thing and you might have not used it in a while, and going through that thing, you would just have to keep hitting left on your freaking analog stick. And universally, that is just the worst part of the game for a lot of people, for good reason, because who just wants to flick through a fucking menu half the time when this game can get really complex with its puzzles. Now, I would love to see an update where they give this game a much needed revamp on the Echo menu, and they basically give you more categories other than those 5 that barely do anything. Like if you could be able to group the echoes that you learn throughout the game, and be able to just go through those little folders that you might have made. Like maybe you group your level 1 monsters, then your level 2 monsters, then your beds, and shit like that. That would be amazing. Like I would love that. Or even just the bare minimum, give me NPCs, statues, furniture, shit. Like they don't even have that. Now, if something like this isn't already in the works at Nintendo, likely by the time something like that would come out, I'd probably already have beat the game, because I'm already used to how the game works now. But I just feel like it could sometimes be a waste of time flipping through all the echoes, so I hope that changes. And lastly, I wanted to talk about Xbox and one of their more recent changes that they're making within one of their little subsections of player feedback hubs with Xbox Research. Now, if you don't know, Xbox Research is one of, like I said, Xbox's places for genuine fans, and as they put it here, anyone and everyone, to take in all the criticisms, comments, and any sort of suggestions to make Xbox hopefully better, and possibly to also take in any hate comments on their newfound freaking ad-filled UI on the Xbox console, because that's all I'd use this for, honestly. But seriously though, they're making changes to the Xbox research department, and this time they're now focusing on apparently getting perspective from Xbox game developers, I'd assume first and third party developers, and they claim that Xbox is trying to get data that'll help address pain points and enhance the experience of partners across the spectrum of disciplines involved in bringing games to the Xbox market. And from how they put it in this entire, multi-paragraph essay, it sounds all cool. They're basically just trying to gain as much information through surveys, play tests, programs, whatever they're putting out at any given moment. They're trying to get as much research from these developers to figure out, what can they do to make, development on Xbox as efficient and as impactful as possible. And I would say, like, now more than ever, it's more important for big name studios like Xbox to put as much value and as much research as they can into their game developers, because this comes at a time when game development is at its most scrutinized, at its most unfreaking certainty, with the most highest crunch work, some of the longest development periods that we've ever seen in gaming history, and just for those games to come out and not do well and then the studio gets shut down, like we've seen it so many times that we're numb to it. So Xbox trying to improve the game dev culture in any way that they can is obviously an amazing thing to see, but at the same time, one of the things that they say in this essay that I found crazy is the fact that they say that it's all about giving game developers what they need to feel empowered and supported by Xbox. And let me tell you, man, I just can't think of anything more empowering than laying off more than 1,900 Activision Blizzard and Xbox employees. I feel the love. I think that that's just the thing though. How could you expect workers to make quality games and have a good morale when they're constantly dealing with, insane deadlines, not managed work environments? Like, you remember Starfield had over 500 plus employees, and according to developers, that created a chaotic work environment where people didn't know what part of the game to work on, what not to work on, a lot of inconsistent agreements on where the direction of the game was going, and a lot of it showed with the release, with a lot of people not liking Starfield. And on top of all that, now a lot of big name, studio workers have the lingering reality that, they can get laid off at almost any period of time just because of, studio decisions, acquisitions, a game flopping like Arcane Austin or, Tango Gameworks, which didn't really have a real reason to getting shut down, but, it happens. So all this, looking to find what they can do to make the work better is cool and all, but I honestly think that the basic thing that they should work on is just creating a safe environment to where people actually feel secure in their jobs. Like, that's why Bethesda and all these, Microsoft studios are unionizing to protect themselves from things that Xbox and Microsoft are doing. So yeah, that's all I got to say for today, man. If you enjoyed, leave a like, subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one.